This week in Jamaica Now.
Taxi man in our deal with a taxi man.
A policeman with a gun in hand confronts a protesting man. The police inspectorate investigates.
Watch out.
22-year-old Manchester man arrested for the murder of Mandeville Police Corporal Melvin Smith. MoBay women murdered gangland style. What's the motive behind the madness? How a government senator angered her opposition colleagues during the NIDS bill debate.
Senator Morris, having recently completed your PhD, I hesitate to think that it would be too much to ask for us to work through.
Marcus Garvey bust now under 24-hour security watch. And Butch Stewart shines as the best in Jamaica's tourist sector are awarded. I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. The police inspectorate has launched an investigation into an incident in which a policeman with a gun in hand confronted a member of the public. A video of the incident shows the policeman running towards the man who was recording a cell phone video while protesting about how the cops were handling a taxi operator.
A taxi man, that bedroom. Taxi man in our deal with a taxi man. Taxi man in our deal with a bedroom. Taxi man. Watch out.
In a statement, the Jamaica Constabulary Force said it takes seriously all allegations of abuse by any of its members. The police also said there is no place for unprofessional conduct within the organization. A 22-year-old Manchester man has been charged with the murder of 38-year-old Police Corporal Melvin Smith. He is Kemar Bennett, otherwise known as Sparta, of a settlement address in Manchester. Sparta was charged with murder and 3 counts of robbery with aggravation and 1 count of shooting with intent after he was pointed out during an identification parade. Corporal Smith was shot dead last month as he sought to accost a robber. Meanwhile, Bennett is to face another ID parade in connection with a separate murder also committed in Manchester. He's also being investigated for another robbery in the parish. The St. James Police are probing whether Monday's murder of 2 women in Catherine Hall was in an effort to eliminate a witness to the killing of a gangster. 41-year-old nail technician Cleopatra Keisha Fletcher was tending to her customer 52-year-old Donna Shuttleworth when a man entered and opened fire, killing them. An employee of the Sangster International Airport was injured in the attack. 2 weeks ago, renowned gangster Omar King Evil Lewis was killed at the same location. A 3-panel research team has found that Jamaican men are killing their spouses than themselves at a higher rate than men in the United States and most other countries in the world. And local researchers are theorizing that this is due to a cultural belief that a woman is a man's possession for life. In the past 10 years, 27 Jamaicans have been killed by their intimate partners who then committed suicide. That includes 26 women and 1 homosexual who was murdered by his male partner. Blind Senator Floyd Morris has accepted an apology from the leader of government business in the Senate, Kamina Johnson Smith. Mrs. Johnson Smith evoked anger in the upper house last week after the blind senator asked for a postponement of the controversial National ID bill so that he could review the proposed amendments received hours earlier.
And Senator Morris, having recently completed your PhD and having also written your autobiography, no, I hesitate to think that it would be too much to ask for us to work through.
Point of order.
No, I'm on my feet and I'm responding to the
order,
motion.
Mr. President. Point of order.
Something you've recognized?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I think it's really out of place for the leader to say something like that. The member has raised a personal privilege which in his mind has been abused by the operation. Now, it is immaterial whether or not he has just completed his PhD and whether or not it is difficult for him to reconcile the amendment. It is of
Senator
no
Mills,
moment.
Continue, please.
My point, no, and my apologies if this is found to have been my...
1 minute.
I take objection to the reference because I can't understand what relevance or what moment does the issue of my PhD have to do with the list of amendments that are there.
Senator Morris walked out of the House after the government voted to proceed with the debate. The incident ignited a firestorm with commentators saying Mrs. Johnson Smith was insensitive. 3 days later, Mrs. Johnson Smith returned to the Senate, where she again apologized to Senator Morris. The Marcus Garvey bust at the University of the West Indies Mona campus has been restored weeks after it was defaced. The bust of the national hero was bagged and condemned after being vandalized on the night of October 17. The Raymond Watson sculpted bust had been splashed with yellow paint and plastered with feathers. It is understood that the UWI has now installed security cameras and a security guard in the vicinity of the bust. Zimbabwe's longtime president, Robert Mugabe, has been holding direct talks with the army over his future. Earlier this week, Mugabe and his wife were placed under house arrest by the military. The 93-year-old leader has been leading Zimbabwe for the past 37 years. Opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai says Mr. Mugabe must resign, but sources say the president is resistant. President Mugabe has been in control of Zimbabwe since it threw off white minority rule in 1980. There is now a power struggle over who might succeed him: his wife, Grace Mugabe, or former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter @Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook @Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, the glitz and the glamour as hotel mogul Gordon Butch Stewart shines among tourism stars at the RJR Gleaner Group Hospitality Jamaica Awards. Smiles dazzled as people mingled in the lobby of the Montego Bay Convention Center, and the scent of perfumes hung in the air before a stellar 4 hours of classic entertainment, commendations, and the revelation of 19 category winners of the best in the hospitality industry. Sandals Resorts chairman and founder Gordon Butch Stewart received the most prestigious accolade, the Pioneer Award.
I take it all on behalf of the people around me that make up Sandals. Without them, nothing can happen.